What is movement in Qi Gong and energy-based meditations? So, when we are working with energy and when we're beginning with Qi Gong, typically you have movement practices that are devoid of Qi, or stillness practices which are aimed at building Qi, right? So we need to build energy typically before we can move it, or at least be able to feel it. Now, very often we need to build the energy, right? And once it's strong enough, once the quantity is enough, then we are able to feel it. Now, the other option is you increase your sensitivity to the point where you can feel and work with the quantities of energy that are available at wherever you're at. Now, of course, work on both. Increase your awareness of energy and increase the quantity of the energy. So not only are you better at feeling it, but there's more of it to feel and to work with. And of course, work with the quality of the energy. Now, for quality, you have really pristine areas in nature, and you have, of course, very spiritual places, temples, etc. And then quality-wise, also we have the development of the astral self. Okay, now when we're moving, say, with the hands, the fingers, you'll see people, I'll stop walking here, you'll see people, maybe the fingers undulate a little bit, there's some slight movement, right? And all of this has to do with the moment by moment connection and integration of what we might just call the connective web of the body, the fascia, the elasticated body, right? So this, once again, is a moment by moment connection. So if we go, when I do this, it connects to this, well, in a particular alignment, maybe, right? But if you are wanting to use this release to start massaging open different places, it's going to be different all the time, because as something opens, the alignment changes, right? As things align in a more pristine way, all of the alignment changes. So if you try to do what you did to get to where you were to continue, you are practicing the past, right? So this is where the evolution of the perspective, when it comes to this free flow of release and of trust and faith in the practice that you have accumulated up to this point, so that you can progress freely, organically, intuitively, creatively, right? And this is very important. So when we start to do movement practices, of course you might learn a particular set of movements, but it is an organic process, and it is ideally, if you are evolving constantly, the movement will be changing constantly, right? And this is really a valuable thing to consider. So beginner level Qigong is you are moving the body around, and typically there's no association to the Qi. Then you start to build energy and move it around, right? And these are both done from a development standpoint in sort of a stagnant way. And by development standpoint, I mean the spiritual evolution, right? That moment by moment intuitive practice isn't there because you're building foundations. Then as you progress into more intermediate and advanced layers, the relationship with your object of meditation and with the energy that you are bringing through, as that grows, then each new object of meditation will create different potentials for movement. And each amalgamation of objects of meditation, of union, will create different potentials for movement. So because of this, you get a very free practice, a very creative practice, and a very intuitive practice. And this will take you to some very, very peculiar places, and it's a lot of fun. So when you're working with the energy and how it might open the body in subtle ways, of course you can sit there in stillness and get profound release when you're surrendered and tuning in and unifying. Very, very profound, more profound when the energy is flowing freely than any type of physical based stretching where the aim is to stretch the physical body. Not that there isn't merit in that, there's a lot of merit in that. But when it comes to the depth of release, that I don't think it's possible for that to touch the potentials of release when you are working from a fully spiritual standpoint. Okay? Now, when you are in total stillness, there's, we could say, habits of physical relationships that are holding you up, and then those start to go, and over time the posture will start to evolve, right? Now, if we want to stimulate different areas of posture that are in need of surrender into the energy, right, into the continuum of release that you might be playing with, then you can use the body to stimulate. You can use movement, very subtle, to stimulate different connection potentials that will help to essentially pull a little bit taut those areas, and then you let them go. Okay, and then that release of those will open up the doors, and those areas can then become saturated with the energy you're playing with, right? Or developing a relationship with. So, all in all, this whole like Qi Gong path and spiritual path, frequency training path, all of this stuff, whether you're working with Tai Chi, whatever, it's quite endless, right? There's a lot going on all the time, and it's a constant progression, always evolving. So we want to just be aware of any time where we are imposing the past onto the future, and that is when we are embracing the knowns, right? If you know something, it's because it has happened. So if we are stagnating in that regards, then the practice will stagnate as well. And the very thing that we've engaged in, this spiritual path, to work on this liberative dissolution and this ability to engage with life in a more sovereign way, this whole path then becomes literally a a wonderful hiding ground for the ego to hang out, right? And that is very, very common, where the identity, the ego, will entrench itself in the very thing, the very path that we're engaging in to help liberate ourselves from the negatives of those particular qualities. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for your time. If you're interested in training, I have a workshop, a retreat coming up in June here, 2025, in beautiful British Columbia. So you can check out the details on the website. There's also online courses you're welcome to take a look at. And for those interested, I offer private coaching online as well. So you can reach out if you're interested in that. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.